Alright, hey guys, it's Evan from devasend.com, and in this video we're going to go over how to use Amazon Cognito inside our React application. Now before this video begins, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you could join the Devasend Discord server and I'm sure someone will be able to help you out there. Alright, so first you're going to want to go to your Amazon AWS console and you're going to want to head over to Cognito, and then you're going to want to click on Manage User Pools. Alright, so the first step is we're going to create a user pool. So I'm going to hit the button at the top right here, and we're just going to create a name for our pool. So I'm going to name this pool tutorial. So typically a pool name you could probably say would be the same as your application name, but you can name your pool name whatever you want. Now I'm going to step through settings here. And one thing you're going to see at the very top here, it says you can't change the sign-in and attribute options on this page after you created your user pool. So make sure that you decided on the settings that you want. This is very important. The settings that are on this page, these cannot be changed after you created your user pool. So if you ever do need to change this, you would have to go and create an entirely new user pool. So be sure that you know what exactly you want when you make changes on this page. So basically this section here says, how do you want your users to sign in? You can either have users sign in through a username, or you can have them sign in through an email address or phone number. In this case, we're going to use email address. If you want usernames to be case sensitive when they enter their username, you can enable this checkbox here. And now below here, we're going to see which standard attributes do you want to require. So these are attributes that are attached to each account that signs up through Cognito. Now, when you click on any of these checkboxes next to these attributes, that basically says when the user signs up, this is what's going to be required in order to sign up. I'm going to leave all of these unchecked for this tutorial. Now, if you want to add custom attributes, of course, you could click add custom attribute, but we're not going to do that for this tutorial to keep it simple. I'm going to go ahead and click next step. All right, now here you can set how strong you want your users' passwords to be. So you can set the minimum length of passwords, require numbers, special characters. You could require uppercase letters, require lowercase letters. I'm going to leave all of this default. So this next section here is basically saying, do you want your users to be able to sign up themselves, or do you want to make it so only administrators can create users? We're going to leave this allow users to sign themselves up because we want users to be able to create their own account. Now we're going to skip over this section for the tutorials since it's not really that important for what we're doing right now. Now you can enable multi-factor authentication, but we're just going to keep this off for the sake of this tutorial and keeping it simple. And here you can decide how a user will be able to recover their account if they get locked out or if they forget their password or email, and you can choose which attributes you want to verify. And at the bottom here, we're not going to be setting up any SMS messaging, so I'm just going to leave this as is and not create a role. I'm going to go to next step. Now here you can customize a bunch of email stuff from SES, and then here it asks if you want to send emails through your Amazon SES config. For this tutorial, we're not going to do that. All right, so in this section, we can set up a custom verification email. Now you can either use a code, which is a 4-digit PIN, or you can use a link, and you can customize your email subject and you can customize the email message here. And one thing to notice here is that there is this little variable here. You can see the difference when we click on code and link to be at least somewhere in this message here. It basically acts as a placeholder. So wherever this is located in your text is where the link or code will show up in your email message. And we're going to skip over this one because again, it's using SMS messages, which we're not going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and click on next step. Now we can add tags to our user pool, but for this case, it's not necessary. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to skip this. Here you can select if you want to remember users' devices. Again, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to select no, but in future videos, I will probably go over these other two options here. We're going to go ahead and click on next step. All right, now here, we're going to create our app client. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add an app client. All right, so for this tutorial, we're going to be using a website. So I'm going to title this website. So if you're making it for a mobile app, say you might want to name this mobile app. And the only thing we really want to modify on this page right here is this generate client secret. We're actually want this to be unchecked. So make sure generate client secret is not checked. And then we can skip over pretty much everything else here. One thing to keep in mind is if we click on set attribute read and write permissions down at the bottom here, we're going to see readable attributes and writable attributes. Now this is basically which attributes can our website client read and what attributes can our website client write. If you added custom attributes at the beginning of the tutorial, you'll see them here. Now we're going to go ahead and click on create app client, and then we're going to click on next. So on this page, we can use AWS Lambda to have custom events fire off, depending on the stage of the authentication here. But for the sake of keeping this tutorial simple, I'm not going to go over it. However, in a future video, I will be covering this. But for right now, it is not necessary. So we're going to leave everything the same, and then we're going to click on next step. And basically on this page, we can just review everything that we currently set up. And if everything looks good, we're going to go ahead and create pool. And we're going to see that user pool was created successfully. Now there's one more step that we need to do here. We need to create a domain name for our user pool. So I'm going to go under app integration. We're going to go to domain name. And if you don't have a domain, that's okay, because Amazon actually provides us with a domain right here. All we have to enter is a unique domain prefix. I'm going to call this dev ascend tutorial. Check availability. The domain is available. And I'm going to click on save changes. Now right here, I have a pretty basic boilerplate application. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to create a UserPool.js file. So I'm going to go to my source folder and I'm going to create UserPool.js. Now in this file, we're going to want to import Cognito UserPool. So, all right, so if you don't have this installed, you're actually going to need to install it. So I'm just going to go to the terminal, new terminal, and I'm just going to paste this command right here. Now I'm going to have this command in the description for you to copy if you don't have it. And I'm just going to run this right now. Okay, now that we have that installed, I'm just going to close this. Now we're going to want to create a object to hold our pool data. All right, so we have this here. So we're going to actually want to get our user pool ID, which we can access on the general settings tab, and it's going to be up at the top here. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it right here. And now we're going to want to need our client ID. So I'm going to go down to app client settings, and I'm going to copy our ID right here. Paste that there. Also double check to make sure that the capitalization is correct on these two keys here. And now we're actually going to want to export this. Like so. Now let's head back to our app.js. All right, so now we're going to want to create a signup.js file. So I'm going to go ahead to my components folder I created here. I'm going to go to new file, signup.js. In our signup.js, I'm going to create a form here. All right, so this form is going to have a onSubmit function, which is basically just going to utilize prevent default here. So for our inputs, we're going to actually utilize a useState hook in React. So I'm going to go ahead and import useState. And now that we have that imported, now we're going to create a use state for our email and our password. So now that we have these, we can now access our email and our password variables, which means we can now create two inputs here. Okay, so we have our two inputs here. We have the one for email and our input for our password. Now I added labels here just for the sake of making things easier to understand. For these two inputs, I've set the first one's value to email and the second one's value to password. And I made the onChange function. Basically pass the event target value to our set email, which the value would be email in this case. So I basically made the onChange property here, send our event target value, which is the value of the input, and we're setting it to be our email. And the same is for the password. We send the password input value to set password. Now lastly, we're going to need to add a submit button. All right, so now that we have our submit button here, I'm going to go ahead and import our user pool from our user pool file. And then in our onSubmit function, I'm going to type userpool.signup. And now this function is going to actually take 5 arguments. However, only 3 are relevant to what we're doing here. So our first parameter is email, password, an empty array, and then we have null. And our last parameter is actually going to be a callback function that contains error and data parameters. Now I'll explain what these 2 missing arguments are in a future tutorial, but for right now, it's not necessary. And in this function, we're basically going to console log and make sure everything is working properly. But before we run this, we actually have to go to our app.js. All right, now let's go ahead and import our signup.js. And then let's add it to our JSX. All right, now to test that this works, we're going to just put a dummy email here. Now, if you remember earlier in the tutorial, we have specific requirements that we set for our password. One of those requirements were that we have a capital letter in our password. So I'm going to enter a password here that does not contain a capital letter to test to make sure that we can't sign up unless all those criterias are met. Now let's go ahead and sign up and we should see an error. Now, if we look at our console, we're going to see invalid password exception. Password did not conform with policy. Password must have uppercase characters. Now, you can use these errors to display to the user how to fix the problem. Now, let's go ahead and actually fix our issue. So let's capitalize the first letter here. We're going to click sign up. All right, so now you can see we have a object containing all our user data here. The main key things that you want to look at here is the username, which in this case is test@test.com, our user confirmed, which is currently false, and the user sub, which is this ID right here. Now the user sub is a UUID that Cognito generates for us. So if we go to our dashboard and we go to users and groups over here, and we can see that our user is now here. If you don't see this, try hitting the refresh button up at the top right. Now, if we go ahead and click on this user, it'll show us information about the user here. That's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you could join the DevAscend Discord server, and I'm sure someone will be able to help you out there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.